Thinking. நீங்க விஜய் சார் ஐடி வந்து இல்ல. வந்துருச்சு.
சார் சுரேஷ் சார்.
மேம் சொல்லுங்க மேம்.
சார் அது என்ன சார் எனக்கு வந்து பேர் வராம அன்னோன் யூசர்னு வந்திருக்கு.
மேம் யார் வருவாங்க? மேம் அவங்க இவங்க ஜாயின் பண்ணலையா? சாமுண்டீஸ்வரி மேம்
இன்னும் வரலன்னு ஜாயின் பண்ணல மேம்.
மேம் ஜாயின் பண்ணணும். பிரசாத் சார் பாலா சார் வர சொல்லுங்க. மற்றவங்க எல்லாம் வருவாங்களாங்கிறது, யார் வருவாங்கன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல.
ஓகே.
ஏன்னா நீங்க உங்க ஸ்காலர்ஸ் தான் சொல்லணும்.
நான் ஸ்காலர்ஸ்க்கு சொல்லிடுறேன் சார் கால் பண்ணி.
ஸ்காலர்ஸ் தான் இன்னைக்கு மெயின். அட்லீஸ்ட் அவங்க வராங்களோ இல்லையோ ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டு பண்ண சொல்லுங்க போதும்.
பண்ண சொல்றோம் சார். பண்ண சொல்றோம் சார்.
நானும் என் ஸ்காலர்ஸ் எல்லாம் சொல்லிடுறேன்.
சரி சார், நான் கால் பண்றேன் சார். கொஞ்சம் ஆன் பண்றேன். லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன் பாரு சார், அதை அப்படியே ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு
குணா கிடையாது.
நீங்க கரெக்ஷன்ஸ் போட்டிருந்தீங்களா சார்? அதுல நம்ம அட்வான்டேஜஸ் எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னு சொல்லிருங்க. ஆனா அது அப்படியே இருக்கு லோக்கல் காப்பில இருக்கு.
நான் உங்களுக்கு மெயில் பண்றேன். கூகுள் டிரைவ்ல போல OneDriveல தான் சொல்றேன்.
ஓகே சார். அதான் இருந்ததேன்னு பார்த்தா அது மேல சேஞ்சஸ் பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு தடவை கேட்டுருவாங்க.
நான் லேப்டாப் தான் மிஷினில் தான் இருக்கேன், ரூம்ல தான் உட்காந்துருக்கேன். ஆன் பண்ணிட்டேனே. நான் 10 மணிக்கு வர சொல்லியிருக்காரு. எதுக்கு? வரேன் வரேன்.
கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் நான் மறந்துட்டேன்.
என்னாச்சு வீடியோ ஒர்க் ஆகலன்னு சொல்லுது இது. கொஞ்சம் நகர் Good morning, Navaneethan sir. Yes, sir. Can we start the session, sir?
Hi, ma'am. Very good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Moneymaker.
Good morning to all present here. On behalf of SSN College of Engineering CSE Department, I'd like to welcome you all for International Conference on Security and Data Privacy Day 2 session. Today, we have to start our session with the keynote address by M. Navneethan sir. He's a Senior Vice President, Grow, Bangalore. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Start.
On the screen is viewable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome, ma'am. First of all, thank you so much for the the invitation, and really excited having the international conference and connecting with all the research fellows as well as professors and the teachers. And this is moreover we are going to have a exchange in terms of what's happening on the industry, because all the origin comes from the research only. But however, research play a little bit on the advanced when compared to the real time, right? Like you always go 5 years ahead in terms of the research, what exactly is expected, and then what industry is needed. And this discussion, just we are going to talk about. It's a purely on the on ground side, on the ground reality. What are the challenges we have it? What we have gone through that? What are the remediation? Just where we have a plan from the end to end. And this is the conferences on the the privacy and then data protections. Of course, where we have a lot of challenges, a lot of there's pros and cons from the technology what's being used. But however, where we thought of connecting on the cloud side, what are the challenges, what are the advantages, where I have it, and then how we can connect and then take it forward. This is like a 1 hour. It's already 9:10. Let's see, 50 minutes. I'll try to stop it to 40 minutes, and then 10 minutes where we can have a conversation. If you have any specific query or the input or something, where I'm happy to to clarify and take it forward. It's a quick intro, of course. Madam has given. Like I have close to 21 years of experience in the industry. And purely, I can say born and brought up in cybersecurity. That's what I'm so passionate on this domain. And right now I'm working as a senior vice president and CISO and taking care of overall IT at a company called Grow. And before that, I was with the PayU Payments for Intel Global, where I was taking care of 18 countries. And before that, I was with the Deloitte, where I had close to 44 countries, where we are taking care of data privacy, data protections, where significantly major impact on the financial sectors, insurance sectors, because that's the way the money flows, right? So where we need a lot of attentions and all the things and all. I am part of a NASCOM, for the entire country, where we are drafting the policy process guidelines, as well as how we can protect for the national security and all the stuff. At the same time, just where we have created a thought process and curriculum for the 1.5 million workforces across India, and where we are building more workforces, across India to add value for the cybersecurity domain. And I've been part of close to 15 universities, board of studies. Our thought process absolutely, when the seed comes, when the baby on womb, that time itself, how we can make quality outputs, right? Because that's a very important period. When the seed is on the ground, on the earth, like what are the things needs to be taken care. That's very important. Similarly, when the baby is on the mother womb, what are the things needs to be taken care. That 10 months equivalent to the, what are the baby comes out in the 10 years, it may not be compensated. So that need a lot of attentions, right? The same way what we are thinking is when the students studying in the engineering itself, like what are the things industry need and how you are going to add value. So that's a key stuff what we are doing. And coming back to the SSN, really, we have hired a lot of folks from college, and they are excelling. I mean, we are so happy about in terms of their performance, their contributions, and interest towards the work. So we are happy to have this more a candidate from the organizations to add value, not only in our organizations, moreover just where we are making bigger associations across the country, across the world. I can say how we can effectively utilize and then add value. And coming back to this, more just today, it's like 40 minutes. So let's have a deep dive on what's happening on the cloud. Who are on the mute, maybe just you can have a, because I know that right on the remote, always we'll be the multitasker. Like we'll be joining the call and then we'll be looking on something else also. So 40 minutes, let's have a the conversation. But don't take it if it is a just input what I'm feeling. Really, I need a lot of input from you also. What exactly you're doing? What is the ground reality you think, and where I can clarify, where I can add values. So that's the key thought process of this session. This is the huge the content. Just I want to have a statistics. Now it's at 9:12. From now to another 40 minutes. So really you should have a difference. It should not be for the name shake. Maybe you attended some sessions, maybe you're not got through anything. Really, I want to make an impact. I want to see the difference, like another 45 minutes. What are the things just you have gone through that, where it's like a 0.001 value additions in your thought process also. It would be great, and I'm honored of that. So this is a key content. Really, just we are going to have a look like what's a cloud computing, what is the threats, what is the exploits, what is the bridges, and which are the organization they have gone through that in terms of the misconfiguration. So what are the statistics in terms of the growth path, and where we are moving ahead from end to end, right? That's the key stuff we are going to have a look. So if you see the current infrastructures, the data is everything. I mean, if you want to start a business, if you have 1,000 people data, you can start the business, because with 1,000 people data, you can play around with statistics, right? What is their age, what they like, what they doesn't like, which area they belongs to, that what kind of food they have it. So maybe if you have a bifurcations, if you have a statistics, you can start some business. So that's why now this data is everything. That makes the huge impact from end to end actually. But that's what it is. Current trend starts happening. If you take a Reliance and WhatsApp it is simple stuff, but they have a huge, so in terms of millions of or the billions of data, right? The username, the people transactions. So that's why they done the collaborations between the geos and then these things, but to make a the bigger impact actually. So wherever it is, maybe we cannot save only the infrastructures. We cannot save only the cloud. We cannot save only the the entire network where which needs to be protected. The data also we need a lot of attentions from the end to end. See, if you want to know about you, really, is it required? Just I should focus on. Just I should look on your specific stuff, saying that your email and other things. It may not require, right? If you want to know about you, but just maybe I can get into the social media. Now, I don't know whether you're aware or not. Now, the most of the organization in the industry, we started to have a hiring based on the social media impact. Like, it's not on the Facebook alone, right? That's a LinkedIn and Twitter and how they act, how they react for such a post. So that we can come to the learning of their psychology, like what exactly they are trying to do, how they are trying to do that, and how they're expressing in terms of any issues or concerns, right? So that's a way in terms of, it's not conscious, right? One or two comments you can make it very conscious, but down the line, it's not the same way, right? I mean, it's very simple for the YouTube content. It's very easy to navigate like what are the YouTube content you have viewed, what are the content you have commented, right? So that itself will show you like your psychologist and then your interest, your passion, what kind of those videos you like to have it, what kind of persons you are, right? Similarly on the maybe let us take Insta, what kind of photos you like it, what kind of photos you post it. So it's very easy to learn as a person's as well as now just a lot of deep fake also is coming to the pictures where we are trying to easy to fake like you. Let us take a prime minister of Modi. He has given some statement. I can change the voice, I can change the picture, and then I can give up TV news from end to end, right? So that's why this social media, so it's creating huge impact. Now what the people used to say, right, if you want to apply in the Google, just you tell your name, that's more than enough. The rest of all the informations they have it. I believe you are aware, right? The Google Maps, it's not only helping you guys. It's like they are tracking your entire track. Just go to the setting and see the track of Google. It will tell you from when you install, when you started to use this mobile, it will give you the entire track, each and every minute where you stand, where you move, how many hours you stayed in certain place. It will give you complete history, right? So that's more than enough to get to know about things actually. So we are holding one sensors along with you, to detect or to trace you where you are, right? So that's why, and real time, that's a lot of things it's happening. That's what I was saying. To get to know about you, it may not require your Gmail access. It may not require your CV. It's like all the public information is more than enough to detect and then to diagnose you like what kind of persons you are. And in terms of financial, it's very simple, right? If you have access to your SMS, I can make it like what is your financial stuff? Like it will give you all the SMS will give you financial status, right? What's the balance you have it? How much let us take on first of every month? How much salary it got deposited? And then where and all your regular spending is happening. So if you take a 12 months data, I can come to the conclusions, where you are inclined towards spending, where you are inclined towards the savings, and then what kind of social medias you are spending, what kind of food you are, you are spending with it. So just I can make up, the complete stuff from end to end, right? So that's the way the data makes it a huge impact in the, this industry. And in between, if you have any other questions, pass me. Really, I want to make interactive stuff. You can raise, stuff, or maybe you can take a pause and then ask me so that I'm happy to clarify as and when. If it's dragging more than 1 minute, then we can have a detailed conversations on the end of the session.
Okay, you were talking about some sensor. The sensor which each person will be carrying.
Yeah.
So,
Now, this is I was talking about in terms of the mobile, right? Earlier, without mobile, we cannot, see the people while sleeping, while in the restroom, except taking bath all the time. Just you carry the mobile. It's not injected in your body, but it's embedded with your hand. And that has a camera. Earlier we had only the back end camera. Now you have a front end camera also. Anytime this remotely, I can switch on such a in the camera on the devices, and from there just I can track you wherever whatever you are doing that, right? So you not only sensor, you have eye also. I use the camera like both the front and back, so I can switch on and then I can make it up if I injected malware in your systems. But apart from this camera, all the devices where it has been tracked, maybe if you configure with the Gmail, just wherever you move, just to it connects and then take it forward. As well as it has nowadays all the sensors in the sense like it has all the pedometer, right? I mean, where it can detect your walk, number of steps, and then the number of jumps and number of in terms of the way to the cycling, all the things and all. As well as it has all the interfaces in terms of NFC, Bluetooth, where you wanted to communicate it with the third parties. So that angle really it's embedded, right? What are the pictures just I have described here? It is just one go. It's one go, but it may not require. So maybe now if you take a snapshot of your mobile, nobody knows that how many apps installed in your mobile. There's a n number of apps. Ultimately, we look for what is the applications, what is the purpose of the stuff, right? So from that, just really we're not sure when this app is getting updated and what kind of data it's being transacted or what are the data is being sent or received, right? Nobody knows that. We don't, because we don't have any firewall. We don't have any other monitoring mechanisms like what kind of data it is going out, right? That still it is open. So that's why I was mentioning like it's a huge threats. Always we are holding on our hand.
Thank you.
Yep, great, ma'am. As well as with this, it's a lot of organizations. Maybe some of the sessions I'll tell you what each sensor is carrying, what kind of company they have started business on top of that, and what's a billion they are making as a revenue, and then how they are making impact on everyone life in the industry, right? So those things also so huge and then interesting facts. Like sometime we can have a detailed coverage on those aspects also.
So what is the advice you give for the mobile user? Okay, how they can protect?
See, that's a multiple stuff, ma'am. The first and foremost one is the app needs to be installed only really what it is required. It's from the known facts or not, right? Really, that's the bigger one. Like let us take if you want to install the Google, similar to the Google, there are many other logos or something which have the same kind of the functionality, but it has some malware. Like whatever you type, whatever you feed, they'll also take one copy of that, including your passwords and all things, right? That also take one copy. So minimum usage of app, what it's really required. Second one is once you install the applications, so it will prompt for the permissions, like what kind of permissions I can have in your device, right? I can read your contacts, I can read your storage, I can read your SMS. So really just we need a bifurcation saying that we cannot say all the things yes, yes, yes. Really we need a permissions like what exactly it is required. Like, let us take you are using some calculator, why they need access to the camera, why they need access to the SMS. The calculator may not be may not required to access all the information. So that analysis just we have to do and then have a look on like really what it is required. Those things needs to be taken care of. And the third factor is all the time it may not require to enable a GPS. Because that is a bigger challenges, right? I mean, it will track you and it will push advertisements. I don't know whether you noticed or something. If you have your GPS on all the time, maybe if you're roaming around or you're searching for a hotel, maybe somewhere, and it will give a push notification saying that like where exactly you have located. I mean, around this where we have a lot of restaurant and all the things and all, right? So that GPS also play a very significant role. Like really, we can use it when we want to, have it. And
Yes,
fourth
yeah,
one is
okay, please proceed.
go ahead, ma'am.
So I have noticed that when we are keeping the mobile in front of us and talking to some people, so I find some reflection in the Google. Okay, what are the news we get it? So based on the information, so whatever we are talking, so that get incorporated, and based on that, we are able to see the news or some message related to that we are able to get. Sometimes I wonder how it is getting, because we were today only I was talking, so how that particular news is coming to. So the Google is watching us.
Yeah,
Because
no,
of the
there is
camera and because
second.
of the speaker.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know whether you noticed, if you have Alexa at home, you'd have noted the Alexa also earlier we had a major bugs saying that even though if you put speakers on a mute, it listens and then it will push you on, because while configuring Alexa also you would have configured with your email. So email is a key tag for them, right? Once we have tagged it with the email, I mean, if you have a Google Chrome install in your browser, it connected with your one of your email ID. So whatever you search, it goes and hit with this email ID searching is so and so stuff, and then how we can feed the advertisements. If you see this Google ad, there is a separate business case where the Google have it, Google ad, where whatever you typed within how many minutes, how many seconds, where you will get a notifications. Let us take, I'm a vendor, I'm Amazon. If somebody is searching, for the mobile, which websites I have to notify them, right? Whether it is a Flipkart, Amazon, Meesho, there is a number of sites, but Amazon has to notify it in the first case when somebody is searching for that. So why Google has to show the Amazon? There is a payment, right? There is a business. If you are searching for so-and-so mobile, so-and-so laptops, then Google will show you Amazon, because Amazon paid to the Google saying that like, I need this services. Yeah, that's the way it is. As well as you will get amazed nowadays, what are the app you are using? It will take all the screenshot. Let us take you are installing Flipkart, just I'm telling for the name. I mean, it's not the saying Flipkart, but just for the example, I'm talking like Flipkart app you are getting installed. Once you install one, then you're not configured fully. Then also they will try to reach you. Like there is a 10 steps. You have finished only the 5 steps. Just of the 5 steps you wanted to finish it. That tracking also they have it. You finished 5. Another 5 because of what? Whether you don't have information or you don't have a time or you are not interested. That level of learning, where we got into the intelligence and that kind of stuff, it is getting installed along with your application code actually. So that maybe let us take you are trying to buy, you were searching the mobile, right? I mean, you don't just simply search the mobile. You may have some thought, but later you may buy it. But they will lure you. They will show you a lot of advertisement or the offers or the model or the features, so that instead of doing it after 1 month, you may do it in within a 1 week, because that shows that kind of stuff, right? Urgency and all the things and all. So that's why we have a lot of intelligence where we are embedding as part of our application, the same way which is available on the web also.
Okay, so they have used data intelligence for each and every people, every organization, whoever is involved in to collect the information.
Absolutely, no. Each and every click they monitor. I mean, it's a little bit confidential, but just I'm telling you, since it's like data privacy and data security, really researchers also should know. I mean, what's the level of data where organization take out actually. Does each and every click they take it. As I mentioned, just you're planning to buy a mobile, but just you stop it. And but you may think it's a later, but they will force you, because they are like they are sharing the screen. You are sharing the screen with them, the one more copy, the same screenshots, so they can see what are the operations you are doing that. So that's the level of the applications they are embedding as part of because they wanted to see the conversions, right? In terms of 5 million user, naturally they are buying, but by seeing this monitoring, they're pushing the ad, all the things, and they can make it as a 10 million users buying that respective devices. So the business is doubling on such a places. So that's what it is, a bigger impact. And the way we what are the advertisements? Maybe you're looking for a hotel, all the places you will get a notifications or ad about another hotel around where you are looking around that. So that's a bigger business. It has been many organization They does only for the data collections. They does only plugging into your browsers and looking for what kind of data it's being collected and then how they can convert as a business. So ultimately, it's our data. So the people who is posting Instagram, Facebook, they are thinking they are happy. Instagram is giving a free space to post their happiness and all things, but it's not a way. They are making business out of that. Similarly on the YouTube. So each one, of course, it's informative, but at the same time, where they are selling our data to the organizations where they can sell their own product to us. So ultimately, consumer is the one suffer as well as benefited, both the way I can see. This is a very interesting, screenshots. Maybe any of one researchers could you please tell me like what exactly, we have it here. Any of one?
I guess we have it something called as drop database table, something related to SQL.
Yeah. So this is more of the camera. That's a robbery in US actually. And whenever they do the robbery of the respective bank, and most of the time they don't have any footage. CCTV footage got deleted when they make an entry, and from there onwards, there is no things are available. That's a lot of suspects. How exactly? Till before entering it was there, but exactly while entering, how it is, moving. There is a camera CCTV model which has been placed across all the bank. So the hackers found those vulnerabilities. So whenever they are going over there, it will capture. Once you capture, it will process and drop this entire database from the respective this organization. So think about it, right? Wherever they go, wherever they have such a camera model and that has a vulnerability, it will take always it capture, right? Once you capture, it will process and it will drop the respective databases from the end to end. So that's why they will be able to make a robbery on that. So it may not require any manual interventions. The only thing is that people should know what is the vulnerabilities, what are the issues and challenges they have it. So the hacking coming to the bigger way, it may not require a huge impact. But only thing is we should know what are the infrastructures they have it and what are the vulnerability tests and how we are going to take it forward, right? So that play very significant role on this. This is actually the target is a one, December 15. Target is a one created, I can say, is a bigger awareness across the cybersecurity. Till at the time, we had cybersecurity awareness, and earlier we had a network security, then information security, then it's evaluated as cybersecurity. And till 2015, just where we had a lot of challenges, it is going through that. But the target is a one, it's a US stores. Like India, how we have a Reliance, JioMart, all things. Similarly, in US, they are the bigger giant in all the physical stores, the bigger stores. And that's a Thanksgiving Day. During the Thanksgiving Day, they have a lot of data, like in terms of huge sales, in terms of discounts, offer, number of people buying, the revenue. It is a huge. So during that time, it's a very simple use case. What they have done is there is a guy, who maintained the AC, right? Who maintained the AC and the top just picture I have kept it. Who maintain the AC? They also have access to the server room. It's not only the IT guy, right? Even the AC guys and even the who is doing swiping also just they can go inside the server rooms. So all the AC maintenance guys, they were also in the server room and they were taking tap off all the information. What are the past mission? You are swiping your credit card, debit card, all the transaction you are doing. One copy goes to them. And they started to sell the credit card on the dark web as well as on the overall surface web in terms of this data is for this much sale. Maybe you can swipe your card, which are the things you wanted. During that time, it does not require any OTP or something. If you have a card, you can swipe and then use it. So there's so many people, it's like a multi-million, it's got into the loss and more than 40 million credit card, debit card they have stolen. Think about 40 million. It is huge, right? So that's why they have opened up. So what I was trying to say is, even though if you have a PCDSS and ISO 27000 NIST designs and all the regulatory things, it's a fulfilled, but the ground reality is something different. So that's why just where they made a huge impact, and then it has created a huge noise across the industry. From there, just where we have created a lot of awareness and a lot of controls across the supply chain. Because now as a CISO and CIO, really the responsibility has gone a little bit up. It's not only taking care of your specific organization. Really, you have to focus on your supply chain attack also. Who is providing services to you, and them also needs to be taken care from the end to end. This is a very interesting fact. The people have a another mindset. They may ask like, only the smaller organizations get into the breach, attack, or the exploits, right? That's a way the people have a perception, but it's not the case, right? I mean, always, if you see these pictures, there's a number of data, company name, and then in terms of number of data, where it in terms of the millions I have given, it's a huge data it is exposed. Specifically, if you want to talk about Facebook, they had breach in 2019 as well as 2021. It's close to 533 millions users accounts it has been out in the dark web, including their email number, address, date of birth, except password. But that's more than enough, right? If you know your date of birth during birthday, definitely there will be some occasions. So I can give you offer only on your birthday. Definitely you will plan to buy based on your interest and then correlation of all the things what you search in the last 1 year, right? So that's make a huge impact. So similarly on the Microsoft, it's like a close to 250 million customer data. It has been leaked out, like 250 million customer data in the sense who are all contacted their customers, right? Their information, what kind of issues they are going through that. So all the information is one go, it went out from the end to end. So it's not only the the social medias and the e-commerce. Really, if you see down on 2018, where we have a Marriott hotel, it's like it's a hotel industry, right? I mean, hotel industry, they have a lot of ignorance in terms of handling your credit card. Once you get into the hotel, before billing, you will swipe the card, right? Those card informations they were taking copy. Because if you take the Marriott alone, it's like a 5-star hotel, right? Who are all coming over there, it's all big giants. So definitely their account, their card, what they handle, definitely it holds a lot of money. So it's easy to swipe because already it has a huge data over there. It's easy to swipe, easy to take out this money from their account. So we're not required to scribbling or going through whether they have a money or not, right? So that's why it was a huge, I mean, from end to end. Similarly, 2018 end, actually, if you see this Apollo hospital also, it's gone through that the huge impact where pharma and then medical industries, so that's more than 200 patients or customer data also it has been out on the in the dark web. So similarly, Dub Smash was a very interesting one. When close to 162 million account has been hacked, and Sharkon account also one of the account actually. So on the Sharkon account, the people got into that and they started to sell their product. Like Sharkon is promoting. Think about it, right? If Sharkon comes and do a small advertisement, yeah, there's a huge followers, and they happily try to buy the things whatever they have it, right? So once they hack the account, and from there they start to push the advertisement saying that like this is a Sharkon promoting XYZ, please buy so and so product. So then it is a huge impact, really from the industry standpoint. Similarly, Dubsmash, there's a couple of other information also. It got in, they put some new pictures of certain heroines in the Bollywood. So that was also, it was happening in the beginning. So that's why like, your account play very significant role. It's maybe your Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Insta. Think about it, right? If somebody hacked and put some other photos on the forums, then it will affect your, because there you will have all the contacts, right? It's like more of your relatives or your working peers. Everybody will have it. So that's why your password the way you handle your social media play very significant role over here actually. Then 2021 starting, that's a SolarWinds supply chain attacks in US. SolarWinds, it's like the product they are selling for top 500 Fortune company, including government agency in US. It is about the antivirus. It's about the the SOC, security operation centers from the end to end. So those places where we have they are providing patches to the all the company. So what are the patches? It comes. The people will think it comes genuinely from SolarWinds. They are the proprietor, right? So people have taken positively and then started to deploy. But it is not a patch. It is a threats. There is a spam. I mean, they have installed on all the system. They have created the backdoor. From the backdoor, it has taken in the the bigger impact in the the industry. So from there, people have woken up and really they wanted to have a look on how we can avoid such a solar winds from supply chain attack from the end to end actually. This is this is why it's happening. I mean, if you see this statistics standpoint, just if you see close to 22 years back when I was final year engineering, and where we are taking the entire projects in 1.4 MB of floppy disk. Think about that, right? It's 1.4 MB of floppy disk where we have the entire final year projects. Because in terms of images, contents, all the things, it does not hold such a size. Now, if you see explosive growth, I mean, in terms of if you take one photos in your mobile, if you see minimum of 3 MB to 5 MB is the one file because the pixels, qualities, the technology has been added a lot, right? So data growth is exponential. I mean, it has grown like anything because if you see the earlier stages, if something happening in US, if you want to get to know in India, it takes news, media, newspaper, all the things. Now it is anyone can create, right? If any of our friends in the spot, he can take a live video, he can send the pic, so that he immediately will get to know, right? So everybody generating the news, not like only the certain media and other people generating the news. So the data is huge, right? Everybody's creating the news, everybody creating the data, and volume of storage also it's gone beyond, zettabytes kind of stuff. So that's why since a very great consumption at consumer side, as well as a very explosive data growth that's happening across industry, across individuals. And there is a lot of technology innovations, right? Earlier 5 years before, we don't have such a mobile and in terms of technology, in terms of ordering food or maybe ordering devices, all the time just we walk to the showroom, we walk to the store and we buy it. Now just nobody have a time. Really, they wanted to make everything from morning to evening, right? Including food, including clothes, and all the apparels, plus what are the things you wanted to buy and sell. Everything happened through the online. So that's why evaluation has gone beyond, but with the data, like what are the data just to where we have it, that makes a a huge impact. And this is a very interesting one, right? I mean, always used to say in many forums, that God has given everything to us, but how we use that weapon, how you use the technologies play a very significant role. See, God has told, right? I mean, in terms of if you do the meditation, if you do the yoga, if you sleep early and get up early and have enough water, have a healthy food, then be active all around. Then all the time just around us is a very green, positive, like-minded people, so happy environment. Then life will go very smooth, right? I mean, we don't have any other dragging and everybody live very healthy, but we don't do it, right? We don't follow. That's what it is missing. Either of one situation where we stretch it and we don't take a healthy food, or we don't do meditation, or we don't do any other yoga stuff. But still there is a deviations, right? And that may take you to the next level issues. Similarly, if you take a cybersecurity standpoint, from data privacy, data protection standpoint, where we have a lot of regulations, a lot of guidelines, standards, procedures, and process. One of the challenges how you're going to adapt and then how you're going to enforce, right? that play very significant role. That's a place just where we are missing. Once we enforce those things consistently, then we are in the right track to add value from the end to end. This is a global cyber risk report actually. I mean, across the global, where the world forums they have given a survey. It's not only on cybersecurity, like from evaluation climate action failure is the top. And in terms of infectious disease, like how we got into that COVID, that is also one of the risks for the human, right? So that is in the top quadrant, both of them, climate change and as well as infection disease, whatever things we have it. If you come down a little bit, I mean, you can see that cybersecurity failure also on the first quadrant. Cybersecurity failure also first quarter, which is going to make an impact. See now industry, what we are using, it's only the Web 2, right? Now, maybe in just most of the organizations, they started to use Web 3 because they wanted to make a decentralized environment in terms of the fintech or in terms of the e-commerce or in terms of the commercial, what they do it, right? So it is a huge impact we are going to create. So that's why think about across the world. And even though they have a climate change also, it is one of the major risks. But cybersecurity also, it's in the same quadrant where that also play very significant, it changes. So that's
What
why
is this? What is this quadrant? What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is that signifies? More you're having in second and third and the fourth one.
See,
Yeah.
this is more of the impact, and then down is the likelihood actually.
Okay.
And the impact level is where we have measured 0.1 to 4, and similarly likely also we have measured 0.1 to 4. And anything comes in this quadrant, which has it may happen anytime, as well as the impact also very high. And the top, right corner is very critical, the quadrant,
Okay.
which has a huge impact in the the industry. Anytime, if any time, if anything happen, the impact level also, it's like how it has happened on the COVID-19, right? The impact is it's a huge. It is a foreseen risk. Because similarly, not only that, right? Similarly, there are many infections, disease it is coming up. So now it is containment happening in the respective countries or the respective ages or respective weathers, only those places. So how you're going to control such a stuff? So that is a key step. Second one is a climate change, like in terms of the weather change, all things and that is happening because of the the climate action failures. In terms of carbon emissions, and then in terms of other environment pollutions, what's happening, then forest deforestation. There's so many stuff it's happening. So that's why just it's always likelihood is very high. Similarly, impact also, since going down, it is a very high on that impact. So the same quadrant, if you see the cybersecurity, it's on the a little bit down on the first quadrant itself, but the cybersecurity failure also is going to create a major impact in the across the world. Fine, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. And similarly, you can see a lot of other stuff like a price instability, industry collapse in some time. Terrorist is in the bottom. If you see terrorist attack itself, it came down actually. When compared to terrorist attacks, cybersecurity failure is always on the top. Then in terms of likelihood of terrorist attack, and then impact to some extent it's decent enough. But cybersecurity failure, it's really huge, which make a tremendous impact. See, I always like an Einstein statement. If you found any places it's very difficulty, then that's a place opportunities also lies over there. We may think like it's a very tough chapter, or maybe it's how we can take the decisions. Like how if you take the e-commerce, Flipkart, even though Amazon was there, but the Flipkart is the one created a lot of awareness in India. They created a huge impact on such evaluations, right? Initially they thought like it is opportunity. Before that, Amazon came into India and they thought it is like people are not adapted. Indian people don't buy on online. They buy only, they go to the physical store and touch and feel, then only they buy it. But the Flipkart, they made it revelations, and they made it like there's a huge opportunity where we can take it forward. So this is absolutely a bang on, right? It's always in the middle of difficulties. There's a lot of opportunities also lies over there. This is even though we have our data in the cloud and we have a lot of challenges. If you see this at 2015 and the 2022, it's like close to 7 years, but the data growth, which is just like a double, more than 60% of data which is lies on the cloud from the end to end. It's maybe the private cloud, public cloud, or maybe community, or maybe the hybrid cloud. But ultimately, data is because now what are the mobile data where you're using? It is absolutely on the the cloud side, which make the huge impact from the end to end, and which add a lot of values. So that's the way things go on. So here just how we are going to make an impact and what kind of cloud adaptation just you make that play very significant role from the end to end. This is just like a cloud computing, like the market is huge. Maybe if you see this current market, it's a close to $61 billion. And it is a huge, right? I mean, it is not a smaller, it's like it's a more than 15 times of your Wipro company. Like that's amount of things where we are going to, harvesting on the cloud computing alone in terms of scaling up and all the steps and all. And it's like more than 88% the breach which has happened due to the human error, because it's like a misconfigurations, right? The machine to machine languages or machine to machine talking, it is a perfectly it works, but the machine to man and man to machine where play very significant impact. That's what 88% in the industry, which is created because of the the human error from the end to end actually. And if you see this current, where in India, where we have 108 unicorns in the sense like the company is valued for 1 billion. Such a companies we have in India alone, just 108 startups, but they have migrated into the the billionaire. And out of that, this 94% it's already there in the cloud. And whether it's a critical data, non-critical data, sensitive data, and private data, public data, it's all in the the cloud, because they want to scale up the business, right? The elastic and in terms of scalability, agile, everything is which lies on the cloud stuff. So that makes a the huge impact from the the end to end actually. And if you see this uh, out of 3/4 of people, they have cybersecurity concerns, even though they have gone into the cloud and all the things, but still they have challenges in terms of the cybersecurity, which play very significant role from the end to end. It is not like absolutely they have a covered and then they have added values over there. This is the people will think in terms of the cloud. Who has responsibility and then accountability. I mean, from end to end, I can say again we have a IaaS, PaaS, and then SaaS. The responsibility changes between you or CSP. CSP is cloud service provider, right? So who holds accountability? We cannot blindly say that if it is a cloud means it has to be taken care by the Amazon, GCP, or maybe Azure. So it's based on what kind of services we opted. That places where to play very significant role. So left side, if you see, I have given in terms of the people, data, application, operating systems, and overall network. If you're opting for IaaS, it's all the responsibility comes under you. Only thing is the physical network, servers, and storage. Those things it's provided by the CSP from the intervene actually. Similarly, we have a PaaS and then SaaS. SaaS is the one it is hitting in the bigger way. Nowadays, only the people and the data you have access, but all the applications, operating system, all network, it is owned by the cloud security provider. And in terms of CSP, they have a lot of challenges, or maybe as an organization, wherever you also have a challenge because they own the data also, right? They have access to the data, even though legally we have agreed the data is owned by the organization, but all the data lies with them, right? They can also take a copy of data and that can be utilized the way they wanted to have it actually. So that's where we need a balancing of responsibility matrix between the organization as well as in the CSP, which is missing in the most of the industry, I can say. This is cloud data protections. What exactly we wanted to have it? It's like a multiple area, right? Data security is one key stuff. Next one is the data protections, and in terms of the data privacy, because that also play very significant role from the end to end, right? Data protections, if you're taking care, does not mean like you're taking care of data privacy and then data security. Yeah, absolutely, all three have a different leg. All three have a different inner requirement, but ultimately it's rolled out to the the data privacy. So one which add a lot of values. So this is where the pros and cons, right? Where exactly if you see this cloud data, as I have mentioned, but like it's uncontrolled environment from the end to end. If you see this disaster recovery and cost effective scalability, it is awesome. If anything one goes wrong, just we can scale up from the the respective business just like that actually. But the problem here is like where we have a lack of control, right? If you take a SaaS and all, really we are not sure who is holding such a data, and who are all accessing such a data, and then how the API is connected, and then how many API is connected. So all the things it is the coming to the pictures, right, from the end to end actually. As well as now we have a portability. Earlier we had a portability challenges. Now that has been sorted out. If you're in one cloud, if you want to move to the adoptions to the other cloud, you are free to do that. So that things also where we have a stuff, but still the migrations, other things and all the coming to the bigger challenges. This is cloud data productions and the why the company needs cloud data productions from the end to end actually, right? Just I have given top 7 reasons like why it is. It's always it helps us to maintain the data visibilities, right, from end to end. How the data, what kind of data is being there, and then who is accessing, how they are accessing, what purpose it's being used. Those things are not just where we can add it. Similarly, just we want to ensure the data integrity. Let us take if it is a 5 million transactions happening, it should be a 5 million. It should not be 3. It should not be a 7, right? The data should not be altered any places. So those things also we wanted to maintain. Then a lot of the compliance stuffs also where we wanted to ensure that, because if you're the regulatory business, we wanted to add a lot of values on the the compliance side. So those aspects also really we need of huge value additions, and how we can make an impact, and how we can add value for the organization as well as countries. The next interesting factor is the data storage. Now your storage also, right? So many people in your mobile, you would have configured the cloud storage. So really, you are also not sure like what are the data it's being connected to the mobile, what are the data it's being uploaded to the the cloud from your personal data. Similarly, official data. Like once you moved your mobile, if you use a different email, still your data lies over there, right? So anyone can log in and then access the data, can be sellable in the market, right? That's how it is. Then we have a DR, and across all where we want to take a very informed decisions from the end to end, to have a clear strategy, and then where we wanted to move ahead from the end to end actually. So we have another 2 minutes left out. Just I'll show you very important key stuff. These are all incident where we have amazing incident, how it is happening, why it is happening, and all the things that are. But most of the industry now we got into that MITRE attack framework, where we have a major 11 domains, and each domain across all we have a close to 250 plus tricks and techniques where we wanted to detect and prevent such a stuff and to add values. That's the way, most of the industry we started to follow. If you take identity access management, or if you take a SOC, or if you take AppSec, or if you take any threat modeling, all the places in terms of security by design and privacy by designs. So most of the places we consider like a MITRE attack as a key framework, how we can add values so that it's easy to detect at the same time easy to prevent such a cyber attack and such esponges from the end to end. So from there, just always we look for key protections like people and data and then infrastructure, right? Those are 3 things play very significant role. Each one really wanted to explain, but maybe some other occasions I'm happy to extend from the end to end. So it's like the final quote is really the data protection is not a choice, right? It just answer Data protection is required, but just the only thing is let's adapt and solve the problems in a cloud and then the IT infrastructures. So that play very significant role on that. And I think just we are nearing the time. Just I'll hold it, and this is my detail. Maybe if you want any specific step, I'm happy to help you and then answer. And open for questions. Maybe I love to answer, love to discuss. Maybe you have any other questions and any other input you wanted. I'm happy to help you on that.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
So what's your opinion about storing files in Google Drive, say, because you are saying that if we have anything associated with our Google account, probably it is not secure. So basically, could we convince ourselves saying that no employee of Google will not be accessing our files?
No, it is really amazing questions. I'll tell you, I don't know how many of you are aware, the Google email read by all the enterprise, not only Google. Okay, you'll get shocked actually. I mean, that's what just I was telling the government also. The Google, when you have a concern, let us take a just maybe there is a federation authentications, right? There'll be a federation authentication. If you want to log into any website or something, you can log in with your Google ID. You can log in with your LinkedIn. You can log in with your Facebook, any of the social media. When you do the federation, they will ask you, shall we access to your calendar? Shall we access to the email? Shall we access to the only your subject? Shall we access to your cloud storage? There's a tick box. Nobody noticed that such a tick box. Once it is automatically done, always look for the proceed. Once you proceed, then it is absolutely gone, right? It makes a huge impact. Everyone in the world, they are reading our email. That's like underlying statement, which is happening. We are the one giving a consent. It's not only Google. The Google alone reads, that's a different story, but it's read by all the people. You tell me the organization, I can tell you like what kind of subject they are reading. So very simple, right? Once how they will get to know your credit card bill, how they get to know what you bought in the last time, how they get to know your insurance, how they get to know like what kind of documents you are circulating. It's like if you see their terms and conditions very clearly they have mentioned. This is for the free of use, and then it can be used for the commercial purpose based on your consent. We give a consent, but just while giving consent, we don't notice that purpose is to read the email. Okay, so that's why
Yes,
I mean many places it's happening. It's in terms of shocking one thing, but however that's true. That is it's a very open secret where we are working. All the Gmail, in fact, your document and all. No, let us take the medical document, or in terms of your academic document, we should not keep it in a Gmail. It should be on your personally hosted domain. See, personally hosted domain, it can be read by the organization who had hosted, but at least only one organization. But if you take a Gmail, if I'm just maybe I can show you maybe some session I'll show you like how we can read the email. It's like a couple of steps, just to 4 steps. You have to notify like you are the organization registered in so and so country. What is the purpose? There is a YouTube video we have to publish. Once it is done, they give approval, then you can read it. So it is a huge, I mean, if you touch your mobile, like, just we are selling our data, you are holding your mobile. It's not just you are using mobile. You are selling your data to the public unknowingly. That's what it has happened. And just go to the setting, and this is too many stuff. If you go on settings, it has a cache. Maybe you may clear the browser history, browser cache, browser cookies, but it stores on your Google pages. Nobody has go through these settings and then look on that. Just today, just when you got time, just go to the settings, Google Maps, and have a look on like what other things you have. It will show you when you install your mobile from the day one, where and all the locations, how many hours you spend it.
So your suggestion is we can use it for example, we have ssnedu.in. So
yeah, I'm sorry,
which
ma'am.
is
Actually, your voice is echoing.
okay. So I think whatever
Yeah, now it's
concept
better. Yeah.
you
Perfect.
whatever concept you are telling is suppose if you are having a email ID, but it may be connected with the Google, but with the host institution if we are having, then that is to an extent safe, right?
Exactly. See, if you are using your SSN email ID
Yes.
for any your communications, it can be maybe you would have hosted in Azure or you would have hosted in your Gmail. Okay, so that is limited by only the respective organizations can read it. But if you are using at gmail.com, ssn at gmail.com, if you're using that as a public domain, it can be read by anyone. That's the way it goes actually. Now what is that's what I mean. If you see the Google growth and all the things and all, they are introducing features to sell. Not to. I mean, we are thinking like a Google Map is for us, but not for us. It is for their business to push all the stuff. That's what it is. But just how we are going to use it is it makes sense. Like it's a knife, can be cut the apple and can cut the people also, right? So how it's being used also play a very significant role. Sometime just where we can run through one session so purely on security standpoint about the Google alone. And because that sense we are using in the bigger way and Google plus all the Android mobile, what are the challenges, do's and don'ts, and how the data is getting leaked. Very simple example, if we want to tell you, the people are talking about we are targeting a lot of servers and then infrastructure, but that's not the case. Everybody's targeting the system, your browser. On the Chrome browser, if you save your password, there's a password manager inbuilt with your browsers. Once that got leaked out, that will have a password of all the things. Maybe that has a password of your Gmail. That's more than enough to crack your bank account password. It's more than enough to crack your other personal social medias also. So it's like it's a federation, it's a TDOS, where we have a lot of database. So it's easy to do the root force and get to know like what is your passwords. So only time and effort is required. Apart from that, everything is available. We should be cautious in terms of while using, in terms of the cloud infrastructure at the same time on the mobile, at the same time on the internet. There is a lot of privacy browser also came into the pictures. And if you see this Firebox itself, they have a private mode, like they don't track it. And there's a lot of other privacy browsers which is available that like they don't track it. Just it's between the you and then the who's a service provider. Just one go it goes and then add values. So any other questions, ma'am? Any other questions from anyone? Really, we want to have a more conversations on the questions because that will help a lot in terms of what are the things in bottom of heart where you wanted to get clarify and then where we wanted to add values. Really, I'm happy to clarify.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Navadin sir. Thank you for your valuable address.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Now-
so can we have a photo, sir? Screenshot we will take so that please open your video, sir. I want all the participants to open the video so that we can take a photo.
Sure, the video is open.
Switch on your camera.
My videos.
Yes, it is visible only, sir.
Okay, fine.
Can you take? Over. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Take care, ma'am. See you.
Okay. Yes. Start.
Now, let us have the pleasure to invite Dr. Jagadish sir to deliver the keynote address. He is a senior technical leader, Cisco Systems India, Bangalore. Sir, welcome you, sir. We are waiting for your address, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for giving this opportunity for addressing the audience for this keynote address. So let me share my screen.
Some disturbance is there.
Okay.
Some extra sound we are getting. Some noise.
One moment, please. Does that help?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to see how do I share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Not till now.
Okay. So it is asking me to open the share tray, but when I open it, I don't see any applications over there. So, do you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now?
No, we are not able.
Hello, Diwakar. Yeah, all well. Yeah. No, I'm just in that conference, in that keynote address. I'll complete and then I'll come back. Okay, so can someone help me? How do I share my screen? So I'm not able to share my when I click on the share, it doesn't give me the option to.
Actually, Bala sir is not picking the phone. He is better, but so what is it? Share option is provided, I think. You have joined us. Meeting guest. At meeting guest, there is an option for sharing the screen. Bala sir Karan Parang. Bala sir. Now we are able to see.
Able to. Okay, one moment.
Okay.
Do you see my screen now? No.
But your PPT, we are not able to see, but we can see that.
Share invite.
Okay.
Okay, let me just exit the meeting and again connect? Probably, let me see if that helps. If that doesn't, then I will share the PPT and if you can share it from your side. Okay, so let me try once exiting and then connecting again. Okay, one moment. I think there is a security setting.
Sir, I think because of some security issues, you are not getting. Otherwise, you share the slide with us, so we can share it here. No, due to some security issues, you are not. Yeah, it's not. Huh? Share and
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, shall I recommend something? Like even I too have the same problem when I open the desktop application.
Okay.
But while opening in Chrome, I'll be able to share. So in desktop application, there is no provision to share the screen.
Okay, you are telling that in Chrome, you are able
No,
to do
Chrome
that.
share option is there, but in desktop application, if I open this Microsoft Teams, then I'm not able to share a screen.
Okay. Jagadish sir, are you in line? Can you hear us? I think sir is not here. So let us wait.
Yeah. How about now? Can you see my screen now? Yes, sir. Yes. You're able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And is my voice is clear, audible?
Yes, it's quite audible. It's very clear.
Thank you very much.
And you have to put it in the
Yeah,
presentation mode. That's it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you once again. So this is a session in a security conference, and there were many security restrictions due to which the screen share was not enabled. So I think we can see that security in action. Okay, so coming to this particular presentation, we are talking about IoT ecosystem and adaptation of zero trust security for industrial operations. So we'll start with a famous quote from an American philosopher, Eric Hoffer, who says that in times of change, those who inherit the change, they inherit the earth. And those who consider themselves are learned and they remain beautifully equipped with a world that no longer exists. So change is an inevitable thing and one need to adapt to the changes. So that's the message it is giving. So we'll start with, in this session, we will cover a brief overview about IoT ecosystem and Industry 4.0. And followed by that, we will try to understand what is zero trust security and adaptation of the zero trust for industrial operations. Okay. So IoT, if you, everyone aware of this word IoT today. So it starts for Internet of Things. So IoT is all about digital transformation. So that is why we are talking about digital disruption right now. So if you look at on the screen, you see a picture. You see that there is a person who is casually mowing the lawn while a tornado is right behind him. you can expect what will happen in a few seconds from now. Okay, so there are many industrial survey reports which talk about how the digital transformation is perceived by the industry. We see that some of these reports that talk about more than $2 trillion. So basically, I'll show you some data from 2019 and also the data in the recent past in order to understand how the predictions and the reality are actually meeting. So 2019 report shows more than $2 trillion of spending. 40% of the technology spending will go towards digital transformation. And often the digital transformation is led by the C-suite. C-suite stands for CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, or CISOs. So today we see in the industry, there is something called a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. So this is basically C-suite. And majority of the digital transformation for any industry is led by these C-suite personalities. Now here is a survey report which shows that what is the impact of digital disruption for the given industry. A survey which was taken across a large number of organizations show that in 2015, 25 to 27% of the industry were considering that digital transformation will have a major impact. Almost 75% were thinking that digital transformation is okay. It can come at some point of time. We are not affected. Just in 2 years' time, in 2017, we see that it's just turned around. 75% of the industries realized that digital transformation is going to have a major impact. And the number keeps going. In 2019, 88% of the industries acknowledge that digital transformation will have a major impact for their business. Now look at the report in the 2021, which is the last one, which is available as of now. So this report shows that there was a survey which was done to understand how the pandemic has impacted the digital disruption or digital transformation. Just in 8 months of time, from 2020 April to Jan 2021, just in 8 months time, we see that 68% to 83%, almost 15% increase in the digital transformation. The accelerated digital transformation is at a very, very high rate. Similarly, there was a survey question which asked for digital transformation, is it seen as a high priority for your organization? And it was responded by the top management. Similarly, we see that in 8 months' time, there is a rise of almost 22% of the top management believes that digital transformation has become a top priority for the industry, for their industry. So why we are talking about digital transformation or digitization industrial? Because IoT is all about digital transformation of industrial operations. Now, let's understand the IoT a bit. IoT, the Internet of Things, there are there are different definitions of IoT. So we are referring to the definition given by Gartner. So Gartner says that IoT is about the physical objects which have got embedded communication capabilities, who can sense the internals of the device and also the environments, which can interact with the states of the device. So, in other words, if you look at, you can see a couple of pictures over here. We can see that IoT is there in all parts of life, whether it is home automation, to automated cars. So basically, every part of life, you will see that IoT has strides into every part of your life. So now, if you try to understand the definition with respect to this diagrams over here, these are all physical objects. Earlier, we were talking about devices which can communicate is a mobile or a laptop or a iPad, which basically communicate with each other. Today, we are talking about physical objects, real world objects, which talk to each other. So the physical objects, when they have the communication capability, and they also can sense their internal states, and which is they can sense and modify their internal states and the external environment, which is connected with the communication is connected through a internet, through IP network, and which can be monitored and managed and controlled from a internet. So that's where basically the IoT is the definition of the IoT is. Once again, a quick check. Am I audible and clear? Can someone respond? Is it audible and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's look at this. Today, if you look at, we talk about smart homes, we talk about digital customer experience, we talk about healthcare, which is highly sophisticated with several electronic capabilities. So this is today's world already we are seeing. And tomorrow, imagine when the pills bottle, it will order itself a self-refill. Imagine a shopping cart when as you leave the shopping mall, it checks out automatically. Imagine crops. Basically, let's say the crop is telling the farmer when to harvest. It's giving a harvest alert. So this is the kind of change we start seeing, and we started seeing with the impact of IoT. And also IoT is one of the major financial opportunity that the entire world is perceiving at. Now let's look at an operation. Consider there is an enterprise. So yesterday, the enterprise is limited to your factory floor or your institution or your office space. But today, the enterprise, along with its entire supply chain, is included as part of the enterprise operations. You can look for how's the production going on, how much you need to order, where are the raw material, how is the warehouse spaces, how is the transportation of the equipment happening, how the associate things like the other office parking space or the communications distribution centers of your finished products, how are they getting sold, and so on. So the enterprise is no more limited to your boundary of your physical office space, but it extends to the entire business area, business is getting into extended enterprise. Is that I see that. Are you able to see my screen? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so let me continue. Okay. Now let's talk about a few use cases. So IoT use cases. Let's imagine that you have connected cars, which basically today we started seeing that autonomous cars which can safely navigate to its destination, which is already a reality in several parts of the world. Assume that the elderly patients at your home, they are constantly being monitored for their health parameters by hospital physicians. Imagine You have a city which can reduce the waste through various kinds of digitization, such as it can reduce the water waste, it can reduce the power consumption or power waste in the buildings, or it can give you the best facility or the most, it can give you the parking, alert the parking very with limited searching, right? So basically, if you look at IoT, it is opening up a completely a market segment, which is this particular market segment is also called operations technology. That's what is basically OT, which is basically is also a line of business. So all these things are happening, and we see that the impact of that in our real life. Now, what are the different areas which it covers? It is there as part of all different sectors, whether call it manufacturing, power distribution, transportation, smart lighting, smart parking, retails, these smart healthcares, your power generations, warehouses. So basically, IoT spreads across all different verticals in the industry. Now let's talk about Industry 4.0. So Industry 4.0, how is it related? IoT remains the major component for the current industrial revolution, which is called Industry 4.0. We have seen that industrial revolution, and today we are at Industry 4.0, and IoT forms the major component for Industry 4.0. Let's look at this. In the timeline, if you look at 18th century industrial revolution was invention of the steam engines, which was like mechanization of one item. In 20th century, the industrial revolution is about mass production, which is like assembly lines. So that is multiple mechanized devices, systems, they interact, collaborate, or cooperate among themselves. They synchronize among themselves. So you see an assembly line, a production line being there. That's basically mass production, where all the different components are synchronized with themselves and the production is happening. So this is basically the 20th century industrial revolution. In 1970s, industrial robots, which are basically electronic automation, has become the major industrial revolution. And today, digitization is the major industrial revolution, which is nothing but Industry 4.0, which talks about connecting all different components in your network such that you can take better decision with your compute power, with your artificial intelligence or machine learning technologies. And you can, another important component for this is securing the entire network of the systems. So that becomes an extremely important piece for the current industrial revolution, which is Industry 4.0. Okay, now what else Industry 4.0 talks about? Industry 4.0, as we said, there are many components, and one of the key components is IoT. Other components like augmented reality, cybersecurity, data analytics, simulations, the cloud. So all these becomes part of the bigger ecosystem, the bigger industrial revolution that is called 4.0. Now, let's take an example. What does it really give you? In an assembly line, which was happening till now, in a production line, if you look at, the same kinds of cars will go through a production line or a assembly line and mass production happens. But all of them are similar type. So this is called a static production line. That means the type of the wheel that you will see, the model you will see, the seat you will see, all of them will be the same. What if you want a Volkswagen car and a seat, Porsche car's seat fitted into a Volkswagen car? Then the static production line will not support. Now come to Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 talks about dynamic production lines. That means the cars, while getting assembled, they can move autonomously to relevant workstations. No more static assembly line. So fully flexible. Any component, anything you can mix and match. And this means you can decide what kind of wheel you want, what kind of seats you want, what kind of mirror you want, etc. So you can decide the composition of your car. So this is possible with dynamic production lines. So now let's look at the challenges in 4.0. The major challenge for Industry 4.0 is cybersecurity. So this is the concern for the entire industry too. As they get more and more digitized, there are more and more opportunities for and possibilities of threat. The other challenge is convergence of IT and OT mindsets. The IT is a completely different mindset. The operations technology is a completely different mindset. The strategies and the reliability. Yesterday, if you miss out a mail, probably you lost a mail. But today, if a particular packet is lost, then you will end up killing a person or breaking a major real item. So reliability, stability, resiliency, these all becomes extremely important in today's world, in the industrial digitized industries. The other one is about a is basically an impact, which basically as you automate things, naturally the jobs it will impact the physical jobs. So all these things are challenges when you try to mechanize things or automate the industry when you move towards Industry 4.0. Now, here is a small food for thought. So why you want to automate? You want to reduce the cost. So for reducing the cost, you wanted to automate. With the reduced cost, skilled jobs are gone. With the skilled jobs are gone, then the people are paid less. Then the government is with less number of jobs, less payable, government is getting less taxes. And today, because a robot is doing 100 people's job, government started thinking, should they tax the robots? Which basically again results in inflation or reducing the buying power because of the economy, reduction of the jobs. So which in turn results in cost overturn. So we are in a vicious circle. You started with cost reduction, you ended in cost overrun. Okay, anyway, this is for a food for thought. Okay, let's move on to the, let's dive into industrial IoT. So to understand the industrial IoT, let's take this example. On the left side, you see the real world. You see a transport industry. You are seeing there is a utility or power industry activities are happening. A technician is working over there. You see that there is a production line and all these things. Basically, this is the real world on the left side. On the right side, you see there is basically routers and switches. You see data centers. You are seeing the management stations. So all these are basically the IT world. There is a OT world, there is a real world, there is a IT world. And what about IoT? IoT is all about bringing them together. When you're connecting all the real world systems through the IT world, then this is called IoT. Now, what does it really mean? In order to connect the real world with the digital world, you need to first sense the real world. So the real world is embedded with a large number of different types of sensors. And the sensors measure various parameters, feed into the digital world. The digital world, through the rich digital algorithms, can decide what is the best way to operate the real world. And they basically they give the direction through which the real world operates, through the actuators. These are called actuators. So this process of real world connecting with the digital world, and digital world is again driving the real world. This process is basically all about IoT. Now physical to digital, where you have sensors, etc. Digital, where you do a number of things. You do optimizations, you do several high processing, etc. You take the decisions and then again bring it back to the drive the physical world through that. So this is all about IoT. Now, though when we talk about IT, it was very nice. You can sit in your AC room and work. Your computers need not worry about the temperature. Now let's look at the real world. Real world operations are very different from the IT operations. You see on the top left, there is a oil rig which is there right in the middle of a sea, which is not connected hundreds of miles. There is nothing around it. There are harsh weathers where the systems are deployed. There are mission critical operations. Milliseconds. Earlier, we were talking about milliseconds. Today, people talk about picoseconds. So because mission critical operations, even a picosecond difference can result in major process change. So you see harsh environments, low power, low bandwidth, mission critical, industrial security, industrial protocols. So they all becomes basically various challenges in the industrialization of the digital industrialization. Now you look at various components. You have security, you have applications, you have devices, you have cloud, you have data analytics, you have so many different fragments. Now, what is IoT? IoT is bringing all of them together. When you can integrate all of them together and your system can take care of security, can communicates the data, does the data analytics and does all other things that is shown, if it can integrate all of them together. So that's where you have a successful IoT system. Now, let's look at some physical examples. So this is what you have seen in the IT world. You have seen routers, you have seen switches, you have seen mobile phones or voice phones. You have seen wireless, wired, and many other systems. This is how the IT world systems look like. And this is how the OT world systems look like. You can see that they're all heavily ruggedized. Their connectors are different. What you see here is typically is a Ethernet port, but they look very, very different. The kind of the environmental certifications they need to have is very different. And let's look at this. This is a typical RJ45 cable, but this is the OT industry's Ethernet cable. And now these are deployed inside the mines, inside the water, inside the external environments where chemicals, temperature, and huge amount of dust, all those comes into picture. So the standards through which these devices needs to comply, there are standardization for that. So you can see that there are different levels. I will not go into the details. You can always read them, but there are standards for different industry deployments. Now, yesterday, people talked about a hierarchical model. Today, people started more and more a decentralized, a distributed model is what the whole world is talking about. So this makes that the entire distributed, the moment it has become so distributed, what you see is the surface area that gets exposed becomes very different. The communication becomes different. Now, IoT, there are, as we mentioned, there is huge amount of industry interest, there are multiple standard organizations like IEEE, IETF, IEC, all of them, they have come up with standardization of IoT protocols. So for example, you see all this here, 15.4, 6LoWPAN, RPL, MQTT, COAP, Modbus. So all these things, what you see here, they're all IoT technologies. So there are different organizations. Some of them are standardized by IEEE, some of them are standardized by IEC, and so on. So it is basically a bunch of standards from different standardization bodies the IoT systems need to comply to. Not only just standards, but rather the industries also have come together. The various global communities have come together with their partnership in order to build this IoT stack. So you can see that many major organizations of the world, they have formed something called as 1M2M communication stack, which is basically similar to a OSI stack. Now, to summarize, what are the requirements of IIoT or industrial IoT? The industrial environment is different. The devices are used are constrained. You need normal Ethernet doesn't work. You need industrial Ethernet, industrial wireless, industrial security complying to the specific industrial standards, industrial protocols. So we have seen several examples of industrial protocols. The accuracy, yesterday you are talking about milliseconds, today you talk about nanoseconds and picoseconds. And there is need for zero touch deployments and analytics for the endpoint. So all these are various requirements which bring in the IoT brings in. Let's look at a reference architecture. This is called Purdue model, which is basically IoT standard for for industrialization. So if you look at, there are multiple areas. The only thing I want to highlight here, these are all you can go through the details, but I want to highlight here is, if you look at security plays a major role in the entire system. Top one is called enterprise security zone. The demilitarized zone is again related to security. Industrial security zone again related to security, different levels of access, different levels of security, and all those things what guides this layering of the industrialization, this Purdue model. So it shows that how security plays a very, very important role. Looking at the IoT solution stack, we can see that the bottommost, the sensors are embedded into the real world. Be it a transport vehicle, be it a camera, be it a digitized house. So the sensors are embedded into the real world. And there are multiple protocols with which the sensors communicate with the backend. So the backend communication messaging protocols, again, there are various messaging protocols like MQTT, CoAP, Kafka, etc. The OT protocols, for example, the Modbus, DNP3, Profinet, what we saw in the previous slide. And similarly, the communication, there is a messaging protocol, there is a communication protocol. So when you see communication protocol, we can see something like 15.4, low power WAN, LoRa, Fluid Mesh, NB-IoT, and many. There are several standards for communication, just like we have Ethernet or fiber, etc. And there are, if you look at the embedded systems have sensors, the backhaul has basically the connectivity to those particular devices, and the data has to be securely transferred with the desired QoS, quality of service, to the backend. So there are specific requirements in the backend networks and the applications, etc. So this is the IoT solution track. So we will quickly close with this IoT part with the top trends. Today, if you look at the top trends in IoT are basically edge compute, digital twins, bringing in accuracy with AI ML models, okay, advanced industrial security, virtually augmented reality AR and VR, smart industrial robots, zero trust in cybersecurity. So these are all the trends. So what is edge compute? So earlier we talked about sitting in the cloud and managing. Then later people talked about fog computing. Today people talk about edge computing. So no more you can sit in the cloud and monitor and move a robot inside your operation floor. So the intelligence has to come down very close to the operation floor. So therefore, the compute has to happen at the very access layer which connects to the real devices. So that's where it comes to edge compute. Digital twin is all about, we talked about simulations earlier, which are completely separated from the real world. But assume that the simulation continuously takes the inputs from the real world. For example, there is a wind fan, there is a electrical a windmill. So from this, let's say there is a simulation. The simulation takes the parameters from the real world continuously and simulates it. And in the digital world, it can predict if the speed is going up, if there is a vibration, there's a temperature going up, etc. With all these real world parameters, if it can predict that how well this is going to work or not going to work. If this can tell you, then it gives you a great insight into the real world operations. This is called digital twin. Basically, you have simulated the digital world with the data from the real world. So people have their widely they talk about the augmented reality and virtual reality. As the name indicates, is there a problem? It says that people are waiting in the lobby. Everything is okay. Can I move on?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So people talk about augmented and virtual reality. So as the name indicates, augmented reality, that is reality which is added with the digital data. So that's augmented. Virtual reality means it's actually not a reality, but it's only a virtual. For example, when you, one simple example you can say, when you project the digital products into the real world, that means there is a real world, you have your house, and you want to see if I buy a sofa, put it in my house, how it will look. Or if I color this wall with this color, how it will look. So you are bringing in, you have a real world and you are superimposing the digital world into your real world. That's called augmented reality. So virtual reality, for example, even before I make the car, if I can make a model of the car and operate all parameters, and it can show me how it is going to behave if the same model is made a physical unit is made out of the model, how is it going to behave? If it is can tell me, then that is called virtual reality. So majority of the engineering designs today, they do VR or virtual reality, and they do all kinds of tests with the virtual reality, and then actually they bring into the real world. So which reduces the cost and the time tremendously for the manufacturing. Now come to the security part. So now the industrial security and zero trust. So today, zero trust is a key aspect which is being talked about in the entire industry. So let's look at how zero trust industrial security is adapting to zero trust. Now first let us look at this. 68% of the professional security professionals, they consider security is the major challenge for IoT adaptation. And now how is it different? The the perception of a OT person and a IT person are very different. If you, let's assume that you have bought, assume that you have got a Alexa. Now, if you ask me, okay, is your Alexa safe? Yeah, it is perfectly safe. It's connected to the internet, nothing else. It does nothing. But if you look at an IT personnel, his view will be very different. He will see what is OS running in that. Is there proper security patches applied? When you upgrade the software, is the software is signed? Whether you can access the device with default credentials or they are how do you access the system? What kind of, is it able to communicate with the rest of the digital equipment in your house? And so on and so forth. What kind of OS is it running? A outdated OS? Is the security patches are applied? Is it doing unnecessary communications? So so all these questions IT personnel will have. So the perception is very different. The OT person wants my Alexa is working fine, so everything is good. But the IT personnel's perception is very different. Now, the security in the OT is very different again from the security in the IT. For example, I will not go through all the list, but a couple of them we can see. For example, in case of IT world, you can do an active scanning of how things are working. But in the OT world, you can't do active scanning. In case of IT world, time is fine, but not so critical. A delay is okay. If an email gets delayed by a few seconds, it's fine. But in the OT world, even microseconds or milliseconds delay is not acceptable. In IT world, every day I can upgrade my OS on my laptop. But in a OT world, if you want to upgrade a software, it has to go through a number of tests, verifications, staging areas before you can upgrade it. So all this makes the perception or the OT and IT worlds very different from the security perspective. Now, yesterday you have an ID card and you can swipe your ID card, enter into your factory floor and work. Now the devices which are there, the digital devices, the robots and other devices which are there in your factory floor, they are not communicating to the external world. So only if you have an ID card, you can go and access them. Today, everything is seen from the outside. Basically, your grid, your power grid, which is like state power grid, let's say Tamil Nadu state power grid. For example, those equipment can be seen from outside, how the transmission is happening, where power shutdown will happen, etc. So all those things, the equipment can be seen from outside. Similarly, the smart industries, smart cities. So as you talk about more and more digitization, you will see that the surface area which gets exposed to the external world is tremendously increasing. So the probability of attacks becomes very, very severe. So now what is zero trust? So zero trust, as the name indicates, we can say that don't trust. In simple words, basically you don't trust anybody, anytime, anywhere. You don't directly trust. So that's exactly basically zero trust. Again, zero trust is a major paradigm which is being discussed in the entire industry. NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technologies, which is basically the American Standardization Institute. I have taken the definition from the NIST, which says that the cyber security, this is basically zero trust, is a cyber security paradigm. See, note this. This is not a tool. Zero trust is not a tool. It's not a technology. It is a paradigm. It is a system. So basically what it says is it moves the static network-based perimeter security to protecting the resources. Earlier, your protection is, do you have an ID card? Then you can enter and do whatever you want. So it is a perimeter based security. You have a VPN connected to your institution, and once you enter into your institution, you can access everything. It's a perimeter security. Today, with zero trust, that's not the case. It's basically you don't protect the perimeter because perimeter is no more under your control. You are now protecting the resources. So what are the resources? It could be users, it could be assets, services, workflows. We are protecting the assets, resources. And no implicit trust is granted to whoever it may be. He may be the owner of the equipment. He may be physically inside the organization or institute. No implicit trust is given to anyone. Next, instead of protecting the network segment, protect the resources. And after you actually trust and give the access, it's not that you just leave it alone. You continuously monitor what operations they are doing. Are they doing what they are expected to do? Anything more than that? Anything unexpected from them? You constantly monitor the activities done by them, by that device or application or etc. And if you sense that they are doing something unexpected, immediately you quarantine them. So this is basically a continuous monitoring system, right? So why does this zero trust came into picture? Because today we talk about no more company laptops. You bring laptop, you bring iPhone, you bring iPad, you bring Android phone, you bring any kind of phones or devices into your network. You can connect them and work with that. You don't have your resources hosted only on premises. It is now across the various clouds. So now it's no more the enterprise remains the boundary. The boundaries have spread across to all locations. There is remote users. So basically enterprise is it's not bounded by the physical boundaries. So all this basically triggers the zero trust. Now, as we said, zero trust, it basically means that never implicitly trust, always verify. Now, so as we have already seen why the change in the landscape, there is basically there are one example I'll give you. So for example, you have a let's say you have a fridge which can communicate with the internet, and the technician, for a fault, to rectify a fault, technician need not come to your house. He will log in from his work office or a plant floor. For example, there is a robot which is not working. Somebody sitting in US or UK, he can actually log into your network and debug and fix the problem. So basically, that's how the remote users, contractors, third parties, and similarly, the applications are spread across. So the perimeter is no more fixed. It is basically evolving. Now, zero trust, if we look into the zero trust architectures, they talk about mainly three different domains. What are the domains? If you look at the picture over here, this is a enterprise network. There is a north-south traffic. That means the traffic which is coming, this is your data center, this is your compute equipment which is there here, and this is your enterprise external world, which is the offsite world. Basically remote users or enterprises or the so many things which are there outside, which are basically making use of the compute which is there in your data center. Now the communication happening in this direction from the outside to inside or inside to outside, this particular communication is called north-south traffic. There is communication happening between the processes, the applications, the systems, the workflows, the data, which is there inside your data center. That is basically east-west traffic. So now there are three domains. First one is the workforce, which is basically you can say the remote users or the devices with which you are actually communicating with your data center. So this basically, so you need to, how do you provide zero trust for workforce? So basically you ensure the identity and the posture of the devices and the users who are accessing. In the sense, no more single username and password. Through that is called MFA or multi-factor authentication. Through multi-factor authentication, you double check is he the right person. With multiple checks, you ensure that the person claiming to be is the right person, the device claiming to be the right device, the device is having the right operating systems, security patches applied, version proper, applications running are legitimate. You verify all of that, and then only you allow those devices to enter your network, access your network. So that is basically zero trust for the workforce. So coming to the zero trust for the workload. Workload is basically the applications which are running inside your network. So if you look at the applications earlier, they were communicating freely. But today, that's not the case. If your web host or your the web server is infected, it can spread the infection in your entire organization. So it is basically statistics shows 54% of the web application vulnerabilities have a public exploit. That means people know about it and they can enter your network and they can laterally move in your network if you do not basically protect the traffic between the applications. So this is basically protecting the communication east-west traffic protection. That is your workload protection. So workplace. So this is where IoT comes into picture. Not just the remote devices or the applications, there are huge number of other devices which are there in your network. For example, you have cameras, you have card readers, you have security systems, you have fire protection systems. You have a large number of equipment, devices which are sitting in your network, plugged into your network. Now this is your workplace, no more just your servers. So your workplace includes all these devices, and it says that 300% increase in the malware variants has in the devices. So basically this workplace has to be protected, or the IoT space or the digital devices space has to be protected. So how do you do that? You basically need to understand who is the device, what is its identification, classification, and grouping them and segmenting them. All these things comes part of that. Now, so zero trust, if you look at, there are three portions in ensuring the trust. The first one is establishing the trust. First, you need to ensure that this device is the authentic device, the identity. Once you identify the device, the next one is you give the restricted access. You provide, basically enforce a specific profile, specific given privilege, least privilege required for the operations of the device. And once you do that, you continuously monitor what the device is doing. So these are the three steps. Ensure the identity, give the limited access, continuously monitor what it is doing. So these are the three different building blocks in the zero trust. So here, I'll not again go into more details, but you can see the Cisco has end-to-end zero trust solution for the workforce, which basically I have given different challenges such as phishing or malware. These are all the challenges in the workforce or your end devices. And the solution is like multi-factor authentication, URL protection, and so on. Similarly, for the workloads, the application visibility is extremely important to understand what all the applications are running, who all they're communicating with, what they're expected to do, and so on. So visibility of applications containing, if there is a application corruption, containing the breach, not allowing the lateral movements. So these are all the challenges in the workload. So Cisco's product like Tetration, which basically monitors can identify without any disruption, silently it can identify the entire workload, and it can do a micro segmentation in order to ensure that only the desired workloads can communicate. So that's basically Cisco's Tetration. Similarly, Cisco's Stealth Watch does the similar job. Coming to the workplace, so Cisco's, which basically includes large number of devices, including IoT devices. Cisco Cyber Vision gives visibility into the network, into the devices, and it also can do quarantining the network or basically segmenting the network. Now, we talked about segmentation, so I thought it will be useful for you to have a quick look at it. There is today, earlier people are talking about, for example, basically VLANs or virtual networks. So virtual networks, basically virtual networks, it's like in your organization, you have separate LAN segments. You have an employee virtual network, you have a IoT devices virtual network where your cameras, etc. are connected. Your guests, they come to your institution, have got a network. So basically it is segmenting at a broader level, at a higher level. So that's macro level segmentation. But within the given the segment, you want to have micro segments. For example, you don't want a camera to talk to the card reader. You don't want a fire alarm, the fire sensor talk to the, for example, a camera, or talk to the accounts servers or your code repository. So basically, though it's part of the same network, but still you don't want them to have communication more than they're expected to, more than their role. So this is basically segmenting within the specific virtual network, which is called microsegmentation. So camera can communicate with the video server, but not with other cameras. Now, the solution for the IoT, that is the workspace protection, is Cisco Cyber Vision. So because our topic today is IoT, we will touch upon this topic real quick. So now, first of all, you need visibility. Visibility in the sense, earlier visibility was you wanted to know what applications, what protocols, etc., which are more with IT protocols like TCP or UDP or something like that, which you know these are the various protocols. But today you're talking about OT protocols, which could be like, it could be DNP3 or a Profinet or a SCADA or a Modbus. So there are multiple such protocols. So you need to understand what these protocols they are talking about. And
Jagadish sir,
yes,
we are running short of time.
Okay, yeah. So we will another 3-4 minutes. I will try to wind up. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so if you look at, so basically that's what is a visibility, operational insights, and you basically have threat detection, etc. Now, how does it work? So now the industrial communication is happening in the industrial floor. I showed you the Purdue model where the different layers, there is a factory floor where the devices, the robots are communicating, and this communication cannot be seen from the data center. So you need to have your sniffers, which needs to enter into your factory floor, sit at the lowest, closest device, which is your basically access devices like access switches, etc., and monitor, analyze the traffic, and based on that, with that intelligence, needs to predict if these devices are as infected or they are not. So basically, that is something like a Cisco Cyber Vision product. It gives you the entire communication map, which all are the devices which are there in your network, who all are they talking to, and how much of data they are generating, what is the pattern, whether the pattern is changing, and so on and so forth. And it's not just one particular product which basically solves the problem. You need an entire segment network of products. For example, you need to communicate with the firewalls, you are the policy servers, your net flow analyzers, and so on. So basically, it's an integrated solution communicating with all the networks in the system. So basically, it can detect something like that. A signature is detected for a network Trojan. So this is basically a screenshot from this CyberVision implementation. Now, basically IoT, it's a fully integrated solution, which basically has got industrial part, which has got the OT part, and they all need to communicate with each other. And Cisco Talos is a major solution which gathers intelligence from all directions and basically which provides the network threat intelligence to the entire network. So this is the last slide we see here. So basically, when you have to get zero trust, it's not just like you secure one portion of the network, but in your entire production, in the entire system development, the systems, including your the OS have to be checked for the signature, the hardware has to be authenticated, authorized, so there needs to be secure boot, signed images, and so on. So the entire gamut, your software development lifecycle has to have the security processes in place, and you need to have network monitors, and on top of that, the zero trust is what something you can achieve. So that's basically here are a few references. That's where we come to the end. And I just want to conclude with a statement saying that we see that the world is getting more and more connected, but we see that more and more people are getting disconnected. So, which is not really a good sign. So we should not it should not result in disconnection of the people. Rather, don't get disconnected in the connected world. Okay, so with that, let me stop this. Is there a way I can stop this? Can you see my screen? Can I? One moment, please. Okay. I just stopped sharing. Is it still? Can you see that?
Yes, it's closed.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Are there any comments, any questions from anyone? I think as per the timer, I think we are just at 1 hour time. So, okay. Any quick comments and questions from anyone?
Sir, can we use digital twin for IoT platform simulation, sir?
Yes, we can.
We can do it. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Participants, any questions?
Hope the session was understandable. You were able to get a feel of it.
Yes, sir. It was very useful, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Jayadish, sir. It was a very wonderful address. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Participants, now we have paper presentation session. For that, paper ID 15, 21, 27, and 29. Be ready with your presentation. The session coordinator is Dr. V. Balasubramanian, sir, Associate Professor, CSE Department, SSN College of Engineering. Dr. Balasubramanian, sir, please take over the session, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I welcome Dr. Sindil Velan, Dr. Kabilan and Edna madam for this session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome, madam.
Sir, Bala sir, Navneethan
yes.
sir is also there. 4 of them will be there.
Oh, 4%, okay. Kabilan sir? Kabilan sir has joined?
I think he's yet to join. Now, I think Edna ma'am, Navneethan sir is there, and Sendil Velan sir is there.
Okay.
But you can start the session. They'll be joined. Sir will be joined.
Okay, yeah, just sorry. The first paper is by Aishwarya and Neela. Are you ready? Aishwarya?
Audible?
Ah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes. You can share your presentation actually. Yes.
Okay, sir. Sir, my PPT is visible for you?
Yes. What is your paper ID number?
15.
It's 15, madam.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can I start, sir? Okay. Can I start?
Yes, yes. Good start.
Okay. Good morning, one and all present in this conference. And my topic is efficient task offloading and scheduling in mobile edge computing. The name of authors, myself, Aishwarya Sudhakar, research scholar, Anna University, Chennai. And the co-author is Dr. Neelam Madeshwari, research scholar, Anna University, Chennai. Sorry, Mahindra Engineering College, Namakkal. And the contents are introduction.
Can you come in the video?
Sir, ma'am, my webcam is not working, ma'am. So that's why I could not enable the video, ma'am.
Okay,
Any
proceed.
problem, ma'am? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, my contents are introduction, abstract, literature review, which includes computation offloading, types of computation offloading, objectives of task offloading, conclusion, and reference. So the introduction part. The technology of mobile phones, tablets, and other mobile terminal devices have permitted the development of high transmission and processing rates for many services and applications, providing substantial difficulties to network service providers. So the cell phones and other goods, CPU, battery life, software, and hardware are always getting better, but they are still constrained by their physical design and unable to handle application that require large scale processing in a little period of time. So this creates an issue, but also presents a chance to further cloud computing technology, enabling terminal users to access and utilize the cloud computing. So in mobile cloud computing, the mobile device connects to the network of mobile operators and the remote centralized cloud computing.
Can you go to your proposed work?
Okay. Ma'am, actually this is a literature survey paper. Okay. And the abstract of my work is the thanks to the recent rapid development of 5G technology and multimedia communication services such as live streaming and short movies have attracted a lot of attention and are now a big component of people's daily social context. So, however, the growing demand of multimedia communication creates a new challenge for wireless networks processing and transmission capabilities. So, the potential answer to capacity and performance issue in aging systems such as mobile cloud computing has been identified as a mobile edge computing. So, in the study, we focus on task scheduling in resource constrained big network where a number of base stations, each with a mix server, help a number of latency sensitive user equipments with their computation. So by carefully planning the task scheduling between UE and BS, we hope to simultaneously reduce the system construction energy and increase the number of offloaded tasks. In IoT space, computation offloading is growing in popularity. So, individual devices, the massive demand for computational resource, these days several quantified QoS targets, including time, cost, energy, and bandwidth, are optimized to meet this issue. So, a thorough explanation of the numerous work that are planned to address the above mentioned problem is provided in this work. So, next is the literature survey. So many researchers have been conducted a look at the method for cost-effective computing and the system performance in mobile cloud computing design. So this is the first paper, which titled the case for mobile edge computing, in which the authors looked at the swap of maintaining computing jobs in the mobile edge clouds and transferring them into the infrastructural clouds. So the next paper titled Mobility Induced Service Migration in Mobile Microclouds. In this paper, the authors investigated the dynamic resource reallocation issue in MEC and suggested a sequential overloading choice framework based on Markov decision process. And the next paper is this one, which titled the load distribution for small cell cloud computing, in which the author suggested a load balancing and a low complicated microcell cluster formation strategy for the cloud in the densely deployed 5G networks. And the next paper is this one, which titled Joint Optimization of Radio and Computation Resource for Multi-Cell Mobile Edge Computing, in which the authors describe the job offloading issue as a joint optimization of radio and computation resources. Here, the authors created a case study of how merging the 5G and the MIG technologies could create a real-time context-aware ad hoc collaboration system. So the next one is, so the next paper is this one, which titled Machine Learning Based Mobile Offloading Scheduler with Online Training, in which the technique known as MALMOS, Machine Learning Mobile Offloading Computation with the Online Training, was suggested by the authors. So the next topic is Macro offloading. So one of the most important framework for edge computing is titled the computation offloading, which is inherently distributed the computing over the heterogeneous network. So it is first introduced in mobile cloud computing and then widely used in edge computing now. It is believed that an effective method for ensuring the caliber of user service is to offload the compute device or the latency intensity processes to edge server or the nearby edge devices. Then the offloading computations are mostly done to increase the service quality and decrease the response time of the services. So when an edge node lacks the required power, the processing power, or the computation can also relocated to the edge server or the cloud-based data center to improve the system's overall performance. So the decision to offload the computation must take into account a number of factors, including the performance optimization and the energy conservation. So in fog computing, the fog computing uses the edge computing and the further specify the network connection over edge devices, edge servers, and the cloud. The edge computing creates the architecture of computing at the edge. The fog computing and the edge computing, however, they share the very same design concept and perform similar tasks. So in the computation overloading aims to improve the computational efficiency of less power devices by using the robust infrastructure. So which includes the distance servers, example mobile devices. So as a new computing technology have emerging during the past 20 years, this paradigm is changed. So there are two main key components for edge computing, and that are mobile devices and the MEC servers, mobile edge computing servers. The mobile devices includes the end users, service, subscriber, and the clients. So a small-scale data center or mobile edge computing servers are essentially what cloud and telecom managers supply in accordance with the end customers, with the communication occurring via various applications. So to connect several data centers with several servers that act as a gateway, the internet is used. So the advanced wireless networking, communication, and technologies are used to create the link between the servers. So next one is the types of computation of offloading. So the offloading is mainly classified into two categories: static offloading and the dynamic offloading. So the static offloading is again classified into static full offloading and the static partial offloading, and the dynamic offloading is again classified into dynamic full offloading and the dynamic partial offloading. So the full offloading means the whole computational process is offloaded and processed by an edge server. So the partial offloading means the remainder of the calculation task is forwarded to an edge server, and some of it is handled locally. So that is the full offloading and the partial offloading. And the next one is the objectives of task offloading. So due to the fact that the different stakeholders and operators have different aims in mind when tackling the task offloading problem, a range of distinct objectives may be used. The objectives of task offloading issue can be categorized using different categories, and these are the categories of the objective categories. So the first objective is delay. So one of the key goal while solving the task offloading problem is to minimize the task execution latency. So that is the delay. So that is the first objective of the use of MIC. Then the second objective is energy. Energy means the reduction in energy usage in the second most frequent goal during the job
Excuse
offloading.
me, excuse me. Hello. Instead of going through the details of all this theory, why don't you explain your work? What you have contributed towards this work. So I think you can straight away go to that particular point, because you are just wasting your time in describing all these theory portion.
Ma'am, this is actually a literature survey paper, and I just went through the objectives and the architectural part of the mobile cloud computing.
No, that is there, but from the literature, what does the literature say, talk about, and what is your innovative idea and what you have implemented? I think straight away you can explain that.
Ma'am, actually, in the survey, I went through the basic objectives and the details in the classification of the offloading process and the architecture of mobile cloud computing. In the introduction part, ma'am.
And that's what I think. You needn't waste your time in the introduction part. So you can straight away go to your actual work. So is this a survey paper? Survey?
Yeah, ma'am.
Oh. So you've done just a survey. You haven't implemented anything.
It's a literature survey paper. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
I find out a different objective from various papers and. Ma'am.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. Start with the objectives of MIC part. Okay,
Yeah. Miss Aishwarya, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so I think you have done a survey. That is okay. I think you have started doing your PhD program, I believe.
Yeah, sir.
And that's the reason you want to know what is there in the literature.
Yeah.
But can you tell me around 2 or 3 points, very significant points that you extracted out of this survey?
Ma'am, sir, actually, the mobile edge computing means it's a concept of edge computing that brings a computational functionality very closer to the user side, and with the goal of providing more scalable performance, reducing the network load and the data transmission. So by physically moving those resources very closer to the user, the mobile edge computing reduces the congestion on the host network and decreases the latency, and which offers carriers and enterprises in enterprises new 5G business opportunities. So
Yes, okay. I think now you're talking about what is mobile
actually
edge
the mobile
computing.
edge computing helps. Yeah.
And can you tell me,
Yes,
because
sir.
your paper talks about the measuring the efficiency of this, the concept called task offloading and scheduling in the mobile edge computing. So you're having some kind of measurement that is going to be, that has been defined to measure this efficiency part for these two concepts, that is task offloading and scheduling.
Sir, actually, the task offloading means it's actually the cloud computing actually bring the computational functionality very closer to the user side, no? So so that we can reduce the overload.
But how do you measure? See, whatever you are saying is, if you use it, it is good. That's not
yes.
an issue. But as a researcher, you always need to know how to measure it in some form, whether qualitatively or quantitatively. You have to measure it and say that this is the way I'm proving this is improving.
Yes, sir.
So how do you do that? Can you suggest that, because the topic itself says that how you are going to measure the efficiency. So how do you measure the efficiency? In the literature, whatever you have gone through, did they specify any measurements over there?
Any performance metrics that are available in the literature, you can mention that.
That will be interesting for
Yeah.
you as well as for us to listen, right?
Sir, this is one of the techniques used in the literature survey, that the machine learning mobile offloading computation with the online training. In this paper, they are explained like this measuring tool, this technique.
No, this technique is used, but what are the performance metrics they are using in order to do the measurement, as Sir asked? Some of the performance metrics you need to analyze in order to measure the efficiency and other things, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you have to look into it. And also, moreover, I see that all the literature papers you have chosen is around 2013 and 14 papers. I think if you take the latest papers, like 2021, 22, then you will come to know what is the latest technology or technique they have introduced.
Okay.
So that will be more helpful for you to do the survey. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So how many papers did you do a review in that survey, ma'am?
Sir, I will show you. About 30 papers. This is the first 7 papers.
And what is the focus of your research?
Sir, edge computing.
Edge computing. So you are want to know offloading, concept of task offloading in edge computing.
Yes, sir.
And are you planning to measure it, or you want to say that this is improved and this is a problem because of which things might not perform well?
Yes, sir. I am planning to use some matrices for my research. So at Note I am started my work. So.
And do you have any literature on that measurement metrics? Are you planning to propose a new metrics, or are you going to use an older set of metrics?
Sir, I'm going to use a new metrics.
You're going to define. You are going to define a new set of metrics, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you using any standard methodology for defining those metrics?
No, sir. Not actually. That one is not started yet. I'm just the literature survey is going on, sir.
Okay. Kindly go and look at it, because you are in the starting stage. This is the right time you have to go in a structured manner. Kindly go and look at standard metrics, which is already available. Try to go from known to unknown, which is already known. Just go through that and then understand what are those metrics, and then find out what is lacking in that. Propose new set of metrics and then validate those metrics.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that will be useful.
I will do it, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, Surya. Navneet here. Thank you so much for taking your time and showing the demonstration. Just quick questions like this. I want to know, like, what are things that you're doing? It's on the like algorithm based, or maybe you really were working on the real time, the incorporations. Like, just I'm trying to see the how the optimizations as well as how the implementation effectiveness, right? It should not be only on the paper, like how we are going to add values on the real time. Have you worked out any other experiment on the ground? Is there any simulator or the real time cases?
Sir, I'm planning to use the packet tracer simulator for simulating my consult.
Okay, so still you are in the process of doing, is it?
Sorry, sir.
Still you are in the process of doing your PhD. I mean, still the work is not done, right?
Yes, sir. Just a starting phase, sir. I'm just going through the literature survey of my area.
Okay. But have you
Not a- I
finalized the
started
focused area, like where you wanted to have a clear
Sorry, sir.
focus?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, fine, Ashwin. Just I got it, like more just where we are in the initial stages. But
Yes, sir.
anyway, as Madam highlighted, like there is technology is so dynamics, right? Every 6 months, 1 year, it's a keep changing.
Okay, okay.
And if you pick up the recent paper, that also will be the great value additions. Because
Okay,
already
okay.
they would have done the work, what you are thinking, right?
Okay.
Or already they would have raised a lot of problem statement on their conclusions or their future works. Maybe that also will help you to, take it up on the right track.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Surely I will refer, sir. Refer to the
Thanks.
new table, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, you are in mute.
Thank you, Shriya. The next paper is by Vigneshwari from CDAT and Dr. Murugan from RCC Anna University.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone, sir.
You can share your screen. Nice.
Yes, sir. Good morning, the panel members. So I'm Vigneshwari. Yes, I'm doing MS by research part-time under guideship of Professor Dr. K. Murugan, RCC Anna University. So my research area is basically on cloud, in which I'm focusing on OS level virtualization, which is nothing but containers. So in this paper, I have proposed a efficient resource provisioning system for containers. So Docker is one such container tool which is there in an open source market. And then in that, I'm using hybrid prediction algorithm to predict the future resource requirement to run the application. So this is my paper title. And in this, I'll be covering the introduction. So first, I'll discuss about what is the difference between container virtualization and containerization, and why I prefer containers, and then how resource provisioning happening, and what are the various types of methods in which we can do that. And then I'll proceed with the problem identified in the current world as well as in the existing works. And then what motivated me to design this proposed design our system, and how I implemented, and the resultant analysis, followed by conclusion in future direction. So to start with, actually this is the difference between hypervisor
I think you can get into your work.
Yeah. So I'll quickly skip the introduction, ma'am. So the difference between VM and Docker is we can remove this guest operating system. So on top of host operating system, we will be directly able to run multiple containers, so that in a place of one VM, we'll be able to run many containers. So that is why it has been the hottest trend in data centers nowadays. All software as a service are being migrated from VMs to containers. So next, the provisioning, the resource provisioning is happening, and this is the important characteristic in cloud, which is called elasticity. So there are elasticity is nothing but combination of scalability, automation, and optimization. So scalability, when we talk about, there are two types. One is vertical and horizontal scaling. So when I want to expand my existing the resource of my existing application. Either I can add more number of instances to it, which is nothing but horizontal scaling, or I can change the configuration or resource configuration of my running instance. So which is nothing but vertical scaling. Both are having its own advantage and disadvantage. That is what been discussed in the upcoming slide in my problem statement. So, and these two scaling methodologies can be implemented either through reactive approach or through proactive approach. So in reactive approach, we will be setting a threshold value, lower and upper threshold value based on which the decision will be taken. So whereas in proactive scaling, the scaling decisions will be taken in advance by predicting what will happen in the future, right? So when we're doing so, like using reactive approach and horizontal scaling and all, we may encounter like over provisioning or under provisioning. So when this over provisioning will happen is maybe if we proceed with horizontal scaling and the threshold is slightly higher than the maximum threshold value, I mean the resource utilization is slightly higher than the maximum threshold value, but obviously I'll go for another one instance of container. So that becomes that will not get fully utilized, so which leads to over provisioning. And then under provisioning is due to like if there is some bursty workload, sudden rise in workload hit that if we encounter, that time we will not be able to provision the resources on time, right? That leads to actually under provisioning. So these are the problems that we encounter when we use horizontal scaling. And then another problem is there are diverse types of workload patterns that are available. So based on the literature survey that I have made, I have identified these are the most common job arrival patterns of any applications that are running on the cloud. So one is growing on-off bursty random. So my system should be able to address all these types of job arrival patterns. Then only I can predict accurately and can take decision to scale my resources. So these are the two problems that I want to address in my work. So in literature survey, if you see most of the approaches they use predictive and predictive